Hey guys, this is Andrew with rockclass101.com, and in this week's ukulele lesson, I'm going to be teaching you an original tune that I wrote way back in 2007. Now, luckily, I've always been a big fan of recording my music. I had a mic and an audio interface and all that fun jazz. So I have this back catalog of tunes from back in the day. And I went through it earlier this year and I stumbled onto this tune. And as soon as I heard it, I brought back so many amazing memories. Now, originally, this was a song that I wrote in a standard pop format, so it had lyrics and vocals and all that jazz. Now, I wanted to take that and kind of rework it as an instrumental piece. So I added a few new parts this year, and I'm really happy with how it came out. So the whole mix of having ukulele, guitar, keyboard on there, a little bit of bass, just everything came together so well, and a big part of that is because of AJ. So thank you so much, AJ, for really taking this tune and bringing it to life. Now, as far as a playing standpoint, let's talk about what this tune is going to do from a lesson perspective. Essentially, what you are doing is you're going to be learning three parts. You're going to be learning a single note melody. That's kind of like the main theme of this tune. And what's really neat is that the single note melody you're playing, you are doubling it alongside the guitar player. So that's going to be the first piece of music you learn. That is melody A. Melody B has you playing a strum pattern over 3 chords, and you are going to be backing the solo. So the electric guitar is going to do this really cool solo, and you are going to be filling in the rhythm section. So that's really neat as well. And then finally, for melody C, you are going to be playing the solo. Now, again, you're going to be doubling the solo with the guitar player, but you're also going to be doubling it with the piano player. So it's really cool because a lot of times when you first start to learn to play in an ensemble setting, if you are the only one playing that part, it can be a little confusing and you may get lost in the shuffle. So having the guitar player or the keyboard player playing the same part as you provides a guide so that you know where you're at in the form of the tune. So that is kind of the goal of this piece. It's more of an intro to playing in an ensemble setting. So let's take a step back now. Let's talk a little bit about this lesson. So in this video, which is our part 1 lesson, I'm going to be teaching you melody A and melody B. And then in the part 2 lesson, I'll be teaching you guys melody C, which is the solo. So if you want to watch the part 2 lesson, you can do so by clicking this link right here, or going to the site rockclass101.com and doing a search for the song's name. Now also on that page will be the really cool interactive on-screen tab viewer. Now this is a really cool feature where you can hit play, you can watch the tab scroll across in real time, you can highlight bars to loop sections, slow it down to any speed you wish. Just a great asset in learning this song that much easier. And last but not least, we will have backing tracks that you can download. So we'll have 100% speed, 75% speed, and if you can feel the beat at 50%, I'll upload that as well. So once you learn the ukulele part, you'll get to rock out with the band at home. Okay, so there's a couple things we need to touch on really quick before we jump into this lesson. The first one is that this song works for either high G or low G, so you can use either tuning for this tune. The second thing I want to touch on is our right hand approach for finger picking and strumming. Let's start with finger picking. So with this song, we're going to be playing across string 3, 2, and 1. We're not going to be playing any single notes on string 4. And again, this is just for the finger picking sections. So that means that we could use a 3-finger approach, which means thumb gets string 3, index finger gets string 2, middle finger gets string 1. What I like to do is hybrid. I like to use this 3-finger approach with piccato picking. Piccato picking is fancy terminology that literally means alternate picking. So you can see me vamp on the A string right now. I'm going to lead with my middle finger, follow with my index. So I'm going to use piccato picking anytime I have notes that fall across one string. So for example, if I had a passage that went 0, 2, 3, 5, and then walked back 3, 2, 0, if I had that all on the A string, it's much more efficient for me to piccato pick it than to use one finger to go. Right, I have to work twice as hard to go like that, where I can make it much more efficient and just alternate pick it. So if you're new to piccato picking, check out our lesson called La Gitanita. It's a flamenco tune. I'll link it in the description box below. It teaches you the mechanics behind doing that technique. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is strumming. So we're going to use basic down and up strumming for this tune. Nothing fancy is happening. The only fancy technique we're adding is a chunk. So if you need a refresh course on how to do chunks, I'll link that lesson in the description box below as well. All right, let's kick into it. We're starting off with our intro, and our intro is extremely easy because it's 4 bars of us not doing anything. So the intro is the acoustic guitar by itself. So anytime we have part of the music where we're not playing, we want to count each measure so we know where we're at. So we don't want to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. We don't want to count like that. We want to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4. So we want to count it like that so we know exactly where we're at and we're not guessing what measure we're on. So that's always the best way, in my opinion, to know where you're at in the music. So after our intro, we come in on measure number 5, and this is melody A. So I'm going to put up the first 4 bars of tab for melody A because this is our musical phrase. We're going to be learning this tune 4 bars at a time, at least for melody A. I think we'll use the same approach when we get to the solo, but right now we'll just start with melody A. So let me go ahead and play through these 4 bars, then we'll break it down and learn it. So that's a pretty good gist of what our first line sounds like. Now it's always helpful to sing it out loud. Da 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 dum, da da dum. Now if you can't sing very well, don't worry, that makes 2 of us. We're only singing it out loud to help us memorize it and to help us get the rhythm and timing down. Because the only thing that's really tricky about this melody A is that some of it is a little bit syncopated. So sometimes our hits fall off the beat, which is a little bit trickier to play than any time when it falls on the beat. So singing it helps you play it. So let's go ahead and start off with just the 5th measure. Now, if you take a look, you can see that the notes we're playing start at the end of the bar. So we're actually going to be playing our first note on the end of 3. So if we count it out, we have 1, 2, 3, and 4, and so we're not starting till the tail end of this bar. And we're going to do 3 eighth notes. Now, here's what makes this passage easy. Anytime we have a note that falls on the 3rd fret, I want you to use your middle finger. Anytime you have a note that falls on the 2nd fret, I want you to use your index finger. So that applies to all 4 strings. Of course, we're only playing across strings 1, 2, and 3, but you get the gist. So middle finger plays everything on the 3rd fret, index finger plays everything on the 2nd fret. So go ahead and start on the 3rd fret of string 2, play that note, then play the open A, and then the 2nd fret of string 1. That gives us our first passage. Okay, start on the end of 3, 1, 2, 3. Not too bad, right? Keep your index finger planted there. Go ahead and add your middle finger to that 3rd fret of string 1. Play that note. That's the first note of bar 6. We're going to hold that for a quarter. Then we're going to lift the middle finger up. Our index finger has been planted the entire time, so we're going to play that note, 2nd fret, and then go back to the 3rd fret on string 2. So bar 6, we have 1, 2, and we're going to hold this note for quite a little bit of time. But let's try this first. Let's try passage 1, which is bar 5, into passage 2, which is bar 6. So we have 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4. One more time. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Nice. So not too bad, right? Now, this note that we just played, it gets held out for beat 3 plus beat 4. That means the next hit that we have is the open E. That's going to be on the end of beat 4. So let's see if we can add that. So we're going to play from 5 to the end of 6 now. So we have 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4, and... Nice. Now to finish it up, we're going to play that open E again. That's going to be the first note of bar 7. And then we're going to play the 2nd fret on string 3. And that one is going to fall on the end of 2. So it's a little bit tricky because we have to hold the open E for a beat and a half. So we have 1 and 2 and 3, 4. So that's bar 7 by itself. Let's try that together. Ready, go. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. All right. If we put it into context, 5 all the way to the end of 7. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and I'll count out as we go. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4. Nice. Now for bar 8, you do nothing. You're just going to rest the entire bar. If you want to, you can just hold this note out until it fades out as well. You can kind of just let it do its own thing. That works just as well. But that's everything for our first line. So again, just get it stuck in your head. And it's going to make it so much easier to play. If we look at the next 4 bars, if we look at the first 2, so 9 and 10, you're going to notice something really, really familiar. Everything is identical up until that very last note. That very last note, we're going to be playing higher up the neck. We're going to play 7 on string 1. And the funny thing is that it actually falls on the same beat. It's on the end of 4, just like in measure 6. So rhythmically, it's identical. We're just moving up the neck to play a higher pitched note. So we know the first bar 9, and we know the first part of bar 10. So we're just going to go ahead and move up to the 7th fret on string 1. And we can use our ring finger to grab that. That finger I think is going to work really well and set us up for what happens in measure 11. So let's see if we can try that. So we're going to jump all the way up to 7 for that last hit. Let's try 9 into 10, and here we go. 1, 2, 3. Nice. Now, we're going to play that note again, and we're going to hold it for a quarter that is dotted, so a beat and a half. So we have 1 and 2, and then we're going to play 5 on string 1 with our index finger. And that falls again on the end of 2. So rhythmically, it was identical to what we saw in measure 7. We're just playing different notes higher up. So let's see if we can try 9, 10, and 11. And here we go. 1, 2, 3. Nice. So pretty cool stuff, right? And I've been saying different notes throughout this, but the truth is that we're just playing the exact same note, just an octave up. So instead of us going, we're playing the exact same E to D, E to D. We're just playing the same notes, just an octave higher. So same notes, same rhythm, just moving it up an octave. Now, to finish it up, we have something different in measure number 12. We are playing notes instead of not playing notes. So here's what measure 12 sounds like. Now, rhythmically, let me count that out. We have 1 and 2 and 3, 4. So we have a dotted quarter, 1 and 2. Then on the end of 2, we have our next hit. We hold that for a dotted quarter, and then on beat 4, we have a quarter note hit. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Okay, now the fingers I'm using is going to be index, middle, pinky. So 9, 10, 12, all on the first string. So try that with me. We have 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Let's do it together. Ready, go. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. One more time. Ready, go. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. So a little bit tricky because we have that syncopation happening there. But let's try this. Let's try all 4 bars from the top. So 9 all the way to 12. 1, 2, 3. Nice. And if I count, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, and 3, 4. And 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4. Nice. So a little tricky sometimes with some of those notes being syncopated, but not too hard in terms of what our left hand has to do. I think the hardest part is just maybe some of those jumps, but remember you have these guides on the neck, you have the little dots that will help you navigate. If you have never used those dots before, I've got a really cool mini lesson that I'll link below that helps you get accustomed to using them. So let's do this now, guys. Let's try play along with AJ and the band. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start it at the intro, so you have that 4 bars, and you can practice going 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4, and that will give you enough time to jump in for melody A. So remember, you start on measure number 5, and I'm going to keep it at 100% speed. If you need to go slower, you can use that cog in the YouTube player to slow it down to a speed that's better suited for you, but I'll keep it at 100, and let's do a play along through all of melody A. So let's give it a shot. Okay, so going into melody B, this is our rhythm section. So we're really going to take a step back now. We were the lead player playing the melody in melody A. This time around, we're going to essentially just be the rhythm player and kind of back up what's happening at the forefront, which is actually a really cool guitar solo that starts the second time through the strum pattern. So let's go ahead and take a look at what we're doing. The first thing we need to recognize is that this section is 3 chords. 3 chords, and that's it. So let's learn those 3 chords. The first one is an E minor. So we're going to bar across the 7th fret, strings 1, 2, and 3, and then our ring finger is going to be on the 4th string, 9th fret. This will give us the first chord, which is E minor. Then we're going to go to our next chord, which is D. So we're going to go down a whole step. And what we're going to do this time is we're going to do a partial bar. So index lays flat on 5, strings 1 and 2. Middle finger is on 6, string 3. Ring finger is 7, string 4. And this will be our D chord. And then we're going to keep this exact same shape and go down another whole step. And that'll be our last chord, which is C. So 5, 4, flat on 3. So you really have 2 shapes. You have the minor and then the major. And that gets repeated for the last chord. So E minor to D to C. So just hit pause right now, get comfortable going between all 3 chords. You can always put it into a time frame like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, repeat, 1, 2, right? You can just go between those 3 shapes just to get the muscle memory and comfortable switching between them. And when you feel good with that, let's go ahead and take a look at our strum pattern. So our strum pattern is going to be the same for the first 7 out of 8 bars of this melody B section. So once you learn it, you pretty much got the entire melody B. So here's our strum pattern. It's going to be down, down, up, up, down, up, down. Rhythmically, 1, 2, end, and 4 end. So the trick here is the end. Look at beat 4. It is 16th notes followed by an 8th. So you have a quick 4 end at the end of this strum pattern. So down, down, up, up, down, up, down. So try that with me. Just mute the strings and just practice going down, down, up, up, down, up, down, 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 up, down, up, down. right? You can loop that as many times as you want. Try to keep it nice and steady and just practice that. Once you have that down, we can actually put it into the context of the chord that we're playing out of. So if we look at the first chord, again, it's just E minor. So go ahead and bar that chord. And let's tackle this, or sorry, let's add this strum pattern to the chord. So we have down followed by a chunk. So that's a down strum to do the chunk. So down, chunk, then come up. That's our first 3 hits. Down, chunk, up. Okay, try that with me. Down, chunk, up. Then we're going to do another up and another down. Okay, so we have down, chunk, up, down. To finish it up, the tricky thing here is that we have up, down, but they're going to not be chunks, they're going to be muted strums. So you're going to go up, down as a muted strum. Now remember, beat 4 is that fast 4-y end. So if we put it into context, it makes a little bit more sense than breaking it up. Down, chunk, up, down, down, chunk, up, down, mute, mute. Okay, so you can try that. Down, chunk, up, down, mute, mute. All right, so down, chunk, up, down, mute, mute, down, chunk, up, down, mute, mute. So try it as a whole pattern, right? Don't try to break it into little pieces. Try that entire pattern. Down, chunk, up, down, mute, mute, down, chunk, up, down, down. All right, so try that entire phrase. And you can even put it on a repeat with me. Down, chunk, up, down, mute, mute, down, chunk, up, down, mute, mute, down, chunk, up, down, mute, mute, down, chunk, up, down, mute, mute. So try it just kind of on a repeat like that. You can always go back in the video, but it's probably best to just hit pause and just kind of work it out on your own, just keeping it nice and steady. Da, 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 ba, 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 da, da. Just keeping it nice and steady from a timing and tempo perspective. Now, some of the tricky stuff here, again, we have that chunk. So I've got that lesson linked below if you need a recap on how to do chunks. And the muted strums, let's talk about the muted strums. The trick with muted strums is we just lift pressure up off the strings. So I've got the chord held down. I'm just gonna lift pressure up, but not lift my entire hand up. But when I lift pressure up, I'm still touching the strings, and that's what mutes them. So that's really the only thing. If you look at beat 4, I'm just going to lift pressure up and keep touching the strings lightly so that it becomes muted and I can do those 2 muted strums at the end. So again, I have down, chunk, up, down, 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 chunk, up, down, down. All right, so a little tricky to play, but once you get it down, super easy. Let me play it a couple times without calling out the pattern, and it sounds like this. So that's a pretty good gist of what it sounds like. The last thing we should talk about is there's a little dot on that first chord hit. So that little dot means that we can add a little staccato pop to the first hit. So instead of holding out for the entire first beat, we can just go bop. So we want to have a little quick staccato hit. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. And that gives it kind of a really cool accent and a cool feel if we pop that first hit. Right? Sounds really neat. So again, it's kind of the same thing as when you lift pressure up to do the muted strums. You're just going to strum and then immediately lift pressure up, and that's going to give it that staccato sound, that pop. So pop. So try that. So strum, lift pressure up, and that'll give you that first hit. All right? So try to get that stuck in your head. Again, singing all these phrases helps. Da, 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 ba. Ba, da, 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 da. Singing it helps you kind of ingrain the rhythm, right? So don't be shy. You can sing it in your head if you are shy, but just try to sing it out loud so you can get it really ingrained in the membrane. All right, so if we look at measure 14, it's the exact same strum pattern. You're just going to be playing the D chord this time. Right, so I vamped through it 2 times there. It's the exact same strum pattern. And then if we look at 15 and 16, this is the actual time where you play it twice in a row. So 15 and 16 is both over the C chord. Okay, so 2 times in a row there. So if we get rid of all this tab, all you want to practice is just going E minor, D, C, C. So just practice that slow. Okay, and if you make a mistake, like I think the first hit of the D chord, I kind of flubbed a little bit, don't worry about it. Play through your mistakes. So just hit pause on this video, cycle through E minor, D, C, C until you feel comfortable with it. Because if we look at what happens next, 17 and 18, we're going to play again E minor to D, same exact strum pattern. And then if we look at 19 and 20, same exact strum pattern for 19, and 20 is where it changes. You're literally going to strum down with that same staccato pop for beat 1, and then a chunk on beat 2. So bar 20 is literally 1, 2. And it's that simple. So essentially what we're doing, let's again get rid of all this tab because we don't really need all this information on the screen. It gets a little bit too cumbersome. We want to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's the same strum pattern again, 1 through 7, then a simple change, 1, 2, and measure 8. So let's try to play along with AJ and the band. I'm going to start it a couple bars before the end of melody A, so you have time to actually feel the beat and jump in and play along with the band. Try to keep it nice and steady, and I'll keep it at 100% speed. Again, if you need to slow it down, you can use that YouTube cog in the player to slow it down to a speed that's better suited for you, but let's give it a shot. Alright guys, so that's going to be everything for our part 1 lesson. So in this lesson we learned melody A and melody B. In the part 2 lesson we're going to be learning melody C, which is the solo. And the solo is really cool because it has a lot of syncopation, so it's going to be challenging from a rhythmic standpoint. So if you want to jump into the part 2 lesson to learn that solo, you can do so by clicking this link or going to the site rockclass101.com, doing a search for this song. Now don't forget too, on that page are the tabs that you can print off to keep for your records, plus the really cool interactive on-screen tab viewer where you can literally hit play, watch that tab scroll across in real time, highlight bars, loop sections, slow it down to any speed you wish. Just a really cool asset, especially for playing a tune like this, which is a little tricky from a rhythmic standpoint. But last but not least, there are also backing tracks. So I will have backing tracks available for you to download. So once you learn the ukulele part, you can rock out with the band at home. I'll have 100% speed, 75% speed. If you can feel the beat at 50%, I'll upload that as well. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this lesson, and I will see you in our part 2 one. Take care.